That was an absolute nightmare.
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats postgame show. I am, of course, your host, Damon Fairall, and this is my guy, Kevin Thomas, as always, on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Arizona loses to Michigan, 73-91. Michigan goes belt to ass on the Wildcats en route to a national title game appearance where they will face off against UConn, and the season ends in Indianapolis. The dream season that was for the Wildcats, for Tommy Lloyd, for these star-studded freshmen, for Jaden Bradley, Tobe Awaka, Mo Krivas, Anthony Del Orso. It's all over, and not in the fashion that you would like to be. Of course, this show is sponsored by our presenting sponsors of Branded Bills.
That's the fashion that I like to be in.
Absolutely. BrandedBills.com, promo code BBPHNX, and do some retail therapy tonight. Because that's the only thing that's going to make you feel better, Wildcats fans. Just a tough one, Kevin. It's shows like this where it's tough to even kind of put into words how you actually feel because there's so many emotions. You want to remember the season for what it was, be happy about all the great moments that we shared together as a fan base, as a community, but it's really, really difficult right after you lose like that.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the best seasons in Arizona basketball history, and then maybe one of the worst endings in Arizona basketball history. This was completely deflating because you come off of a team where, we've spent all season telling our listeners that if you can't believe in this team to make it to a Final Four, you're never going to believe in a team to make it to a Final Four. And then they make it to that Final Four only to have their worst performance of the season, and it's not even close. Largest halftime deficit, and then to end the game losing by 18 points. The game was never in question in reality, and that is the most upsetting part, that it feels like this Arizona team, credit to Michigan. I want to say that off the top. By the way, there are going to be Michigan fans that watch this back. I do want to give them their proper due off the top, right? Like, good game to Michigan. That is a special basketball team as well. To do that to Arizona, who has been dominating teams all season long, is incredibly impressive. But from the Arizona perspective, this is an incredibly sad way to end the season because you feel like you had more in the tank than that. You feel like, Michigan clearly the better team. No, I'm not, trying to beat around that bush. But as an Arizona fan, it feels like the gap between the two teams wasn't what we watched tonight. It felt like the team had so much more to offer from a talent, from a production standpoint on both ends of the court, and they didn't. They had every opportunity to offer it, and it just didn't happen tonight. We said multiple times on the watch along, it felt like every shot Arizona put up was either the most difficult attempt they've ever had to muster in their life that took so much effort, and it was clearly so much of a slog to get to the basket in this game for Arizona, or you actually got an open look and you just missed your shot. So many open shots in this game for Arizona that got smoked. So many opportunities on the defensive end that usually Arizona gets a stop, but Michigan's size on both ends clearly played a role in this one, and Arizona was uncomfortable with that size on both ends. Adai Mara was a lob machine in this game. Any time he got within 5 feet of the rim, Elliot Cadeau was finding him with a perfect pass. It was incredibly impressive stuff from Michigan offensively. By that same token, it was incredibly disappointing from Arizona defensively because this is a team that has the size to contend on paper with a Michigan front court. And we felt on the watch along that, hey, Arizona's front court at least kind of holding its weight in this one. It definitely didn't excel by any stretch of the imagination, but it was holding its own. It was getting no help from the backcourt. And I think that's where I kind of want to go on I guess now I'm doing a monologue. I don't know. Next, but the backcourt we came into this game advertising to people, Damon, the backcourt of Arizona has an advantage here. They can cook. And they got cooked. I don't know, man. Just a lot of thoughts. You know what I mean right now?
Tell us how you really feel, Kevin. Tell us how you really feel.
Mostly disappointed because
I 100%. Everything you said, we're gonna, I feel like, dive in on deeper here as we get throughout the show, but more just like raw feelings off the top. I think, just from a more general sense, this was the worst way to end what we were talking about in pregame is potentially the greatest regular season and conference tournament season and postseason season in Arizona history. Like this team gave us so much to root for, be happy about, be thankful for, and for this to kind of be the taste in our mouths that we're left with that's really disheartening. It's really disheartening for all the guys in that locker room. And like you said, this is my opportunity. You already did it, but I want to give credit to Michigan as well. That's the best team in the country. They proved that tonight. Clear cut. It's not even, it wasn't even close, right? And this was what this matchup was marketed as, is a heavyweight battle between the two best teams all year. And Michigan went out there and they took it personally. They proved exactly why they're the best team in the country. And it's a situation where we have to put our hands up and say, I think we obviously thought this was going to be a close game.
Yeah.
Even when we predicted Arizona wins, I said I thought it was going to be a 2-point game in either direction. I thought it was going to be a really close game. Michigan could win, Arizona could win. I'm obviously going to roll with my Cats. Kevin predicted a close game as well. I think we both all week thought we were going to get a really close matchup, but that's not how it was meant to be. And so shout out Michigan. They have a fantastic team. They're assuredly going to be favored in the national championship game. But as you said, Kevin, this is not a Michigan podcast. This is an Arizona podcast. So I think we leave that there until obviously Saul Bookman pops on, and I'm sure he'll want to give his flowers to Michigan as well. But this is an Arizona podcast, so we're going to focus on Arizona stuff. And if you're a Michigan fan looking for actual basketball talk, this is not really the place to find it for your perspective. Yes. Now, if you're a Michigan fan and you're looking to troll, this is probably the perfect place to find it because obviously, Arizona loses in a big way to Michigan tonight, and just really, really unfortunate. But Kevin, where should we start? Where should we start from this game perspective? Should we just kind of go through it chronologically, how it kind of unfolded? I mean, Michigan obviously didn't get off to the hottest shooting start in the world. Arizona got Yaxel Lendeborg in foul trouble, which felt like it could be huge in the early moments of this game. And then the Cats just had a lid on the basket, couldn't make anything in the opening moments. Michigan sustains a lead. They get that lead. Arizona then is forced to kind of claw back for the entirety of that first half. They do so at a time. Then the momentum shifts back to Michigan in large part because your backcourt played like they did tonight. And it's a backcourt that has led you to victory over and over and over and over again this season, Kevin. So it's hard to sit up here and be like, the reason the season ended was because of Jaden Bradley and Brayden Burries. But I think if you look at the performance tonight, you look at how things went down, I really do think that the backcourt battle was where this game was won and lost from a Michigan standpoint and lost from an Arizona standpoint.
I mean, respectfully to Jaden Bradley, I was surprised to look at the score sheet and see he was only 4 for 6 from the field. I thought it would have been a more inefficient night, judging by the way that it felt, at least watching the game, which is probably unfair to him because it was a blowout. However, it didn't feel great. He did have 3 turnovers tonight. Brayden Burries, 2 of 10 from 3. And I think that in itself, Brayden Burries or any individual on this Arizona basketball team in the year 2025-26, having 10 3-point attempts is a red flag, blinking red lights indicator that the offense is not healthy, right? If you are taking that heavy of a diet of threes in any situation, there are games this year where Arizona didn't even shoot 10 threes as a team. Brayden Burries shot 10 threes tonight because everything was so difficult on offense. And it was, we talked about it with Saul. Saul talked about it with Corey on McHale Madness. The mid-range was going to be huge in this game and was going to be the avenue for Burries and Bradley to get going and get a rhythm in this game. The size of Michigan, I'll bring it back again, was disruptive every second of this basketball game. whether it was in transition and you have a 7'4" Adai Mara who can catch everything running down 90 feet, whether it's in the mid-range where, yeah, you got to your spot and you're kind of open, but there's a great contest from either a very athletic Motiejus Johnson, a lengthy Yaxel Lendeborg when he was in the game, or an even lengthier Adai Mara. Arizona's guards were very thrown off by the size and the physicality that Michigan offered. Let's bring that back to the table as well, Damon. Let's not forget that this was an Arizona team that has been the more physical, rough, tough. If we're not gritty, we're a word that rhymes with gritty kind of team all season long. And I don't like to say this about teams, especially a team that we cover, because it's especially as two guys that didn't play, not fair to say. However, I think tonight was a night where we can come on here and say with fairness, they got punked tonight for the first time all season. They got punched in the mouth. And as Ian Eagle said very, I think aptly on the live broadcast, like, you keep waiting for this Arizona run to happen, and it just never did. And I felt like it was because of the size and physicality of Michigan being too much for Arizona tonight, which really threw me off. Did you have the same reaction?
Yeah, I mean, it's I had that reaction to the entire game tonight. True. Essentially, Kevin. True. It's like you could just go ahead and copy paste what you just outlined for us right there for every single matchup that happened across this game. And yeah, I mean, it's just a disaster. It's a disaster. You're talking about Jaden Bradley and his kind of a more efficient night than what you thought that he ended up putting out there. His problem was that he couldn't stay on the court. His problem was that he couldn't play the defense of the level that we are used to with Jaden Bradley, because he's got 3 fouls in the first half. He's got a 4th foul early in the second half. That was where Jaden Bradley's night was won and lost, was the fouls. And, I think that when he was taking some of those mid-ranges, and it felt like early in the game, he was looking for the basketball when Arizona kind of was going through a little bit of a slump scoring there. And that's what you expect from your senior leadership. But what you don't expect from your senior leadership is, slapping Motiejus Johnson for the easiest and one opportunity of his career when the game is very, very in its early stages. It's like, Jaden, let him have that bucket, man. He's going to score it no matter what. Save yourself that foul and don't put Motiejus Johnson on the line and allow that sort of momentum play. Now, it's not just Jaden Bradley. It's also Tobe Awaka taking an early shot clock 3-pointer. Didn't make any sense, right? It's also, you don't get a whole lot in the way of Anthony Del Orso tonight. Like, your seniors didn't really step up when you needed them to tonight, Kevin. But it wasn't just a senior problem. I mean, it was a whole team thing. I think that you just want to lean on your experience in those moments, and you weren't able to get that.
I did mention a number that stood out to me was Brayden Burries' threes. But we do have our by the numbers. So let's go to that right now and get this out the way, because it's not going to be pretty, and I don't want to talk about it for very long. Gross. The final score,
shot 48%, bro. How is that possible?
Because Elliot Cadeau was from a shooting standpoint incredibly inefficient, but from a passing standpoint was lights out. Either way,
he might have been the player of the game.
Yeah, probably. They get outshot in both 3-point percentage and field goal percentage. Rebounding, you win the battle, but you lose the war. And then points off turnovers, 26-12. Arizona completely incapable of capitalizing on when they actually made Michigan make mistakes. Arizona was unable to reward themselves for their positive plays, and the points off turnovers number there is indicative of that. I want to bring another number to the table here, and that would be the team assist number, Damon.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought up a number earlier in Brayden Burries' 3-point attempts that indicates that, hey, this offense was not healthy, dog. When the doctor looks at your blood oxygen numbers and your blood cell counts, and they're like, hey, Damon, we got to look at this. This is not... Arizona had 5 assists as a team tonight. Not Jaden Bradley by himself, not Del Orso and Kharchenkov combined, not, you know what I mean? No, as a team, they had 5 assists. Michigan was incredible at limiting Arizona's offensive action to the first action. They very rarely got into their second actions, I feel like. It was a lot of that dribble handoff action at the top of the 3 that they love to run, where the big then seals and the wing runs around and does a layup next to the big that has sealed. Tobe Awaka does a great job of that. He's been doing a great job of that all season. Arizona was never really consistently able to get to that second stage of the action. Michigan was very physical on all dribble handoffs, all ball screens, making Arizona incredibly uncomfortable. The assist numbers being so low. Brayden Burries' 3 numbers being so high. And I'm not singling out Brayden Burries. I'm saying that him having to take all those threes is indicative of an unhealthy offense tonight. Man, not a pretty by the numbers tonight in any way, Damon, truly.
No, it's not. You mentioned the assists, which I think, was probably the biggest discrepancy that you will find in this game from any sort of, basic statistic. Michigan averaged the 4th most assists in the country this year, Kevin, at 18.8 per game. Arizona averaged the 36th most in the country at 16.7 a game. So just a little bit more than 2 less assists per game than Michigan. And then you get skunked like you did in the assist category.
Whew.
I mean, that's going to be tough to win a basketball game when you're getting, what is that, quadrupled in your assist total?
Over quadrupled.
Over quadrupled in your assist total. So, yeah, I mean, it's Michigan, obviously a team that really, really does a good job of racking up those assists. In large part, Elliot Cadeau is a really, really good passer, and he has the bigs to throw the ball down to, right? Like, Ade Mara is incredibly impressive, catching the ball near the basket and laying it in, dunking it, finding ways to make those oop opportunities happen. But yeah, like I said, when you first pull up by the numbers, like for a guy that, played as poorly or shot as poorly as Elliot Cadeau did tonight, only 5 of 17 shooting, I think he's my player of the game if I had to put a point a finger at somebody, Kevin, because his 10 assists were so not only like great assists, easy lay-ins, but so impactful. And you could feel each one of them. And it wasn't just the assists too, it was the other passes that he was throwing out there. Yeah, I mean, it's you can't. Arizona's a team that's predicated on moving the basketball around, throwing it into the post for deep entries for Tobe Awaka, Koa Peat, Mo Krivas. Michigan denied all of that tonight. And did so in a way that no opponent has done to Arizona all season long.
To your point, Damon, about Michigan denying all of Arizona's easy offense that they've gotten all season long, that is one thing that I definitely overlooked in this matchup. And I think it was admit my own fault. It was willingly overlooking the fact that, yeah, there were some people saying Arizona is going to have a hard time getting to the end of their offense against Michigan. What is it going to be, a Koa Peat back down of either 7'3" Ade Mara or, physical as hell Morez Johnson? And I kind of looked at it and said, well, you don't know Koa Peat then. All right. You don't know Mo Krivas' game then. Okay. You must not know. No. They might not know, but they definitely know Michigan ball, because Michigan's defensive scheme was so disruptive across the board. And I think that is kind of what I just keep coming back to. Arizona got flat out outplayed. Like, we can, and we will, talk about all the different things that Arizona did and didn't do in this game, but it does ultimately come back to what Michigan was forcing them to do. Arizona didn't want to play this way tonight. Michigan was better than them in almost every facet. And that's the result that you get.
In every facet, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't think of one that Arizona was competitive.
Well, actually, we just showed by the numbers, and we out-rebounded them.
Yeah.
So check yourself, brother.
But no, either way, like, we're right. Like, you are right to say that they got outplayed in every single facet tonight. And it really is unfortunate to say that, because for an Arizona team that so many times, Damon, it was, analysts going on TV, whether it's, big, huge stations or, little tiny media stations, asking people what makes Arizona special. And people saying, man, you don't know who it's going to be one night. It could be JB and Burries. It could be Koa and Yvonne. It could be Mo and Burries. Tonight, you didn't get a takeover at any point from anybody.
No.
And I think that this was like I tweeted it earlier today, Damon, and I kind of want your opinion on this too. I'm sure that the answer is yes, but I want your opinion on it nonetheless. This is the first time I saw Arizona look confused out there this season. The first time where I felt like they didn't think that they had the answer. You know what I mean? I think so many times this year, there have been times where as a fan, you think, okay, I'm a little nervous, but I think that the guys will figure this out. They have the answer. They just have to do this. Tonight, I was like, I don't know where their answer's coming from. They don't have much going for them in any direction. Like, can you recall a time this season where they looked that flustered?
No, I think that the moment got to them too. I think that once once they got it within, what was it, 5 or 6 points in that first half?
Yeah, I think
then
it was
you miss 2 free throws, and then you miss a front end if you're Kharchenkov, and you had a real opportunity to close the gap even more and swing the momentum completely, because it felt like Arizona was really kind of turning the tides of the momentum at a point in that first half. And if you're going into halftime down 2, 3, 4, you feel pretty good coming out of the half.
I think if you're Arizona, you feel incredibly confident.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
With how bad you played and that only being the deficit. But then you give up a Michigan run. You give up I think it was a 14-3 run that I counted. It might have been 13-4. I might be doing some dyslexic stuff there, but I think it was either a 14-3 or 13-4 run after that Jaden Bradley third foul call. And it completely shifted the tide of the game and gave Michigan a sustained like 15+ point lead back at the end of the first half. And I think that was where the game ended, for me at least. I think that's where you started seeing players, maybe sulking a little bit, sinking a little bit. And that's not to say that they were not trying or that they weren't giving full effort, but I think it's more to say that, when Brayden Burries is 0 for 5, he's not exactly looking for the basketball like he would if he was 3 for 5 or if he was 4 for 5. So for me, it was that end of that second half, that kind of flurry from Michigan that kind of made this game into what it was. But yeah, I mean, I saw a version of Arizona from a mental standpoint tonight that we haven't seen all season long, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And I think on top of that, Damon, we're talking about what Michigan was able to do successfully defensively against Arizona. I believe we have Tobe Awaka with 2 clips, one of him talking about the rim defense and then another of him talking about Adai Mara's impact specifically.
It was pretty solid. I mean, they were heavy in the gaps. Sort of loaded up the paint, forced us to shoot outside jumpers, made, twos tough, made us shoot some tough twos. So, they made things difficult for us tonight. I mean, obviously his length, and then, you have a point guard in Elliot who's great at throwing those lob passes right in the perfect place. So, I mean, wish we could play him again, but, just kudos to them.
I do think that Tobe saying the obvious thing there, that Elliot Cadeau's passing in this game and Adai Mara's lob threat on offense and just overall length on both ends in this game was a huge impact on the result tonight. And that is all credit to Michigan. I don't think there was a thing. I know Tobe says there that he wishes they could play him again, and I'm sure every dude in that locker room wishes they could redo this one tonight. But I think you play this game 5 times, like Arizona maybe wins once or twice. Judging by the performance they played tonight, like the impact that their size and physicality had on this Arizona team, I don't know where, unless you have, like in one of those 2 scenarios I named, a crazy night from Burries or a crazy night from Peat or a crazy night from somebody, that Michigan physicality and size is real. And it's real because this Arizona team is not a pushover, right? Like the result tonight does not necessarily tell you that if you haven't watched them all season. But for Michigan to do that physically to Arizona in a way that no team, not Houston, not Kansas, even when they beat them, not Texas Tech, even when Texas Tech beat them, no team has done this to Arizona all season except for Michigan. And I think that Tobe saying, pointing out Cadeau and Mara there, incredibly apt, because he was your player of the game, Cadeau. And I don't know if I have a player of the game. It hurt my heart too much to pick one at this point in time. But yeah, I think those are the 2 guys you'd be looking at for Michigan, right? Like their impact was so outsized.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we said a lot about Elliot Cadeau, specifically me. I'll put my hand up on that too. One. I mean, you did, but not as much as I did, I think. And I didn't think that he was going to be able to compete in this game. Not to say like I didn't think that he is a good player, but if it was Jaden Bradley versus Elliot Cadeau, I was going to ride and die with my guy Jaden Bradley in this one. Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, it's just that's not at all what happened. Elliot Cadeau, I think he's the future NBA All-Star that maybe he does? No, but I think he's a really, really good college basketball player, and he proved a lot of people wrong tonight. A lot of people that have been saying a lot of stuff about him being inefficient, not being as good as maybe the other players on his team, but, being a big talker. I think we saw the impact of Elliot Cadeau tonight and why maybe the shooting percentages aren't exactly telling the full story when it comes to his play on the court.
Yeah, I mean, when they talked about it at the halftime desk show, and we'll talk about it here right now, for him to, I forget what he shot going into halftime. Like, what was it, 2 for 14? Something ridiculous. 1 of 12. But to have the impact that he had, like Arizona was truly unable to stop that lob threat. The pick and roll was killing him, eating him alive. Like it was tough tonight in every facet of Arizona's game. But I don't know. In terms of taking this forward, I believe we do have some clips here, and I believe we have Anthony Del Orso talking about the relationship he has with the seniors that are exiting.
Yeah, I mean, they're my guys. Obviously, came in with Tobe. We had to figure it out, together. And obviously JB has been the leader, for me and for multiple guys. Just great people. These are people that I'll be friends with for life. Wherever basketball takes us, wherever life takes us, we'll always stay in touch. Like I said, friend for life.
I tried to give it a crying tears warning, but I'll give you some time to go get your tissue box during our first break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like, stick around, don't go anywhere. And if you were seriously injured by this game tonight, and I know I make light of it, but it's no joking matter, right? If you've actually been involved in an accident involving serious injury or wrongful death, there's only one thing you can do, and that is do your research. And when you do your research, you'll get the husband and wife law team who bring specialists to the table. Less than 1% of all Arizona bar certified lawyers are specialists in serious injury and wrongful death. Apologies. The Wildcats got my brain. But either way, they are specialists, and you can trust them to have your best interest in mind because you're going to be working with a full deck of cards when it comes to the information regarding your case. They're going to tell you both the strengths and the weaknesses, and the communication is quite strong. You can call them at any time for any reason, for any purpose to talk about your case. If you really just want to rant about this loss tonight, you, I think, can do that. Their number is 602-783-8841, or you can visit their website in our show notes below and let them know these two guys sent you over.
Not only are they the best lawyers in the game, Kevin, but they're also the best therapists in the game. I'll tell you what, the only thing that can make me feel better at this moment in time would be winning the lottery. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing right after this post-game show ends. I'm going to head on over to Circle K, hit up one of the Arizona Lottery kiosks, and get myself in on these multiplier scratchers where I would have a chance to win $5 million in prizes, up to $5 million in prizes, with tickets starting at just $1. There's over $270 million in prizes that they're giving out in total, but it's time to multiply the good things in life, like winning college basketball games, and hopefully our friends at Arizona Lottery can help us get there. Head on over to one of the over 3,500 retailers across the state. You can play whenever and wherever you'd like with our friends at Arizona Lottery.
Welcome on back in. I hope that you have grabbed all your tissues that you're needed to see some of these clips because they get quite emotional. But yeah, Deli there talking about the relationship for these seniors. And I think that we talked about it on the watch along, Damon, that some of the worst parts about this is letting some of those guys go. And we're going to get to that in a moment. But let's get to these super chats because some people are being very generous in their time of pain in the Arizona Wildcats side of things. What were we practicing all week? I'm embarrassed, says Trevor Begay. And I feel like, man, this is a valid reaction to have. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to get punked like that in a spot like in the Final Four, I think it does make people feel like, what happened? It's so inexplicable, right? And they did get outplayed in so many different facets of the game tonight that, yeah, sometimes you can only have that reaction, right?
And I know that me and you are both not going to go to this place, Kevin, but it's going to naturally lead Arizona fans to the place of, was it a distraction for Tommy Lloyd? Because that's how bad of an ass kicking that this was tonight. And I think that me and you, based off of his comments, I think that, we think Tommy Lloyd is a very genuine person. And he said, I'm hands off this. I'm not dealing with this. This is not something, I'm focused on this team. And I think we both believe that. But when the result looks like that, and there's the rumors as loud as they were with a job such as North Carolina, I think it's going to bring people to that place automatically.
I was going to save this for later in the show. I'll say it here. Shane, may I get a one shot here potentially? I want to help the people as they go through this time of need here. Look, if you or someone you know is clamoring for Tommy Lloyd to go to UNC now, or Tommy Lloyd to be fired now, or questioning Tommy Lloyd's aptitude as a coach, check in on your friends. Mental health crisis in the country. If they're calling for Tommy Lloyd's head after this, a Final Four run after people were like, well, he never gets past the Sweet 16. He does it. He goes to a Final Four. You don't like the result. No one likes the result. It's horrible. That doesn't mean he should be fired. We all just rejoiced 2 days ago when he signed the extension. Yesterday when he whatever the hell it was, when he signed the extension. Let's not do this. If you or someone you know is seeing that message, check in on that person. They are not well. All right, back to the podcast.
Lots of Arizona fans, and it happens every March.
Yeah,
whoever the coach is, the second Arizona loses, fire his ass, and you're like, what?
Yeah, you're not well.
Well, I mean, I saw people being like, what? Someone was like, what do we even have to celebrate? And I was like, I mean, I don't know, like, or why does Tommy prove that he deserves this job? And I was like, probably because he's the first coach that's gotten us back to a Final Four since Lute Olson was the coach, in the prime of the Lute Olson era. You know, like, it's maybe that's the reason why Tommy Lloyd should be the coach. Only one team can win a national championship, and this year it looks like it's either going to be Michigan or the best coach in college basketball, right? And I think Tommy Lloyd's up there. I don't think he's Danny Hurley level. I think he's in the next crop, but Michigan had a better team, and UConn has a fantastic elite coach, and that's what the national championship is. You made it to the Final Four. You tied for third place. Like, it's not a season that ends in firing your coach or even the thought of it. And that's again, like, I know that these are lunatics, and so it's like giving them the time of day is even like, it's you probably should just move on and pretend that no one even said anything. But it's just crazy to me, the amount of people that are, thinking that Tommy Lloyd is not the man for the job because of a loss to a generational college basketball team.
100%.
Let's get back to these super chats here. We got our guy Ernesto. It was Ernesto's birthday today, or it is Ernesto's birthday today. Yeah. So I wanted to say
happy birthday
to my guy. 999 Big 12 champs, Big 12 tournament champs, Sweet 16, Elite 8, and finally to the Final Four. It was a great season to share with you all. Thanks, Kevin, Damon, Saul, and Corey. We appreciate you, Ernesto, and having you join the crew. I know, obviously, Ernesto, big D-backs fan, but we've had a lot of people join in on what we're doing here on AZ Wildcats podcast this entire season, and we're eternally grateful for you guys. It's been a banger of a year, and couldn't do it without the support of people like Ernesto in the chat every single day.
100%. We deeply appreciate all the viewership and all the support and all the kind words throughout this season. Maze Devil. As I say something nice about the chat, here comes Maze Devil. I kid. Maze Devil is chill. Respect to y'all. Love the passion you guys bring every night. No reason to hang your heads. Cue the Jalen Hands chin up, brother meme. Yeah, no reason to hang your heads. From a Michigan fan, I say great season, GG. And I'm not going to say those last two words, but you can keep those to yourself. Either way, we appreciate you, Maze Devil, for tapping in and being respectful as well.
Go UConn.
3DMK.
That was mean. That was nasty.
That was nasty and very mean. That guy gave us money. Either way, 3DMK 1999 super chat. Thank you for your generosity. I hope you enjoyed your trip down to Arizona despite the result of this game. BTFD, zero regrets. Oh, there you go. Glad I drove out here to be with family. Going to Nico's tomorrow. Hopefully see the team when they return. Much thanks to the PHNX fam who helped make this season the best. No, honestly, genuine shout out, as I haven't met you in person, but guy to guy, man to man, podcaster to podcast listener, Discord typer to other Discord typer. 3DMK has made this season additionally so awesome. His information is top notch in terms of statistical analysis in our diehard Discord, and he has helped us build that community into what it is. So thank you, 3DMK, for not only your super chat, but just your support of this podcast, your Wildcats, this channel, all of it. Ike Salvador,
back.
What was that?
Back to back?
Oh, back to back. Oh, wow. Back to back on us, Damon. That is crazy. Thank you, Ike. Was a good year. I like where the recruiting is, but we're going to need a first half coach here on out. And then another one that says, I'm glad Tommy is here, but it's clear the shortcomings. He needs to want to get better like anyone good at what they do. And I do think that Tommy Lloyd does want to get better. He has talked about, he talked about it this season, right? About how the Princeton loss, the Clemson loss, these bad experiences that make crazy people out there want his head, has taught him different things about being a head coach. And he has rolled that into this year where he makes a Final Four and then gets blown out. We'll see what he learns next time. But yes, I do think he is a guy that wants to continually evolve with the experience that he's gotten and get better, right?
Terrence Tidbits, $4.99. Congrats to U of A. It sucks to go out like this, but it doesn't take away from the season overall. BTFD and go get some experienced players in the portal.
Yeah. Terrence's super chat did make me want to bring up a different topic, which I will do after we get these last two super chats so we can finish that out. But yeah, put a pin in that one with Terrence, what he said about experience. Our guy, Joe Camacho, Dog Squad AZ. Tyson got knocked out. Brady retired. Tonight, our gentleman got worked. It happens in sports. Bear down in life. In Tommy, we trust. That was awesome.
Man, I'm going to start saying that every time one of my teams loses.
That's awesome. Tyson got knocked out. Brady retired.
ASU basketball loses a bye game. I'm ripping that.
That's awesome. I love that.
I'm more of like a guy to like throw out like horrible world disasters that are happening and be like, why do we even care about a simple child's game right now?
And then I come to you and I'm like, well, Damon, the child's game helps me stop thinking about the bad stuff. Either way, Harvey Manfred Jensen, $10. Y'all make this the place to be, man. That means a lot. Thank you. It was a great run. Bear down. No. You guys that are sending super chats and that are chatting and liking this video and subscribing and continually following what me and Damon post, you guys make everything worth it. Damon, I wanted to, now that we're wrapped up with super chats, at least for now, hopefully, I wanted to continue to talk about what Terrence Tidbits was saying there about how we need to go get experienced players in the portal. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe, I don't want to speak for Terrence, but maybe what led him to that conclusion was that tonight it felt like Arizona they weren't, as you said, like as ready for the moment as we thought they would be. There was a time in this game where Shane, as a viewer of the game, is saying like, man, Burries kind of looks like a freshman for the first time I've watched him look, this season. And I don't think he was alone in that. I think Koa Peat at times looked like a guy that could have used more experience entering this game. You're never going to get that. But you know what I mean? Like, I think there were times in this game where it looked like, okay, this is a team of experienced basketball players that are playing at the highest level versus a team that is a lot less experienced, playing at a high level, but not tonight. Do you think that I'm not going to say it's the reason that they lost, that you have three freshmen in the starting lineup. Point blank period, I want to start that with this. I don't think that that's why they lost. I don't think it's a leading cause of death or anything like that. But do you think, and to what extent do you think experience was a factor in tonight's result?
I don't think it played that big of a role because Arizona's most experienced players, as I already outlined, also let you down.
True.
And I think if we were looking at a game where Jaden Bradley was cooking, and Tobe Awaka was doing what he did against Oregon.
And like Burries had 5 turnovers and Pete was...
And ADO had 3 threes. I'd be sitting up here being like, maybe we need more experienced players next time around. Maybe that's the build of this roster. But, I mean, these weren't typical freshmen at all. It's like, it's almost like it's a fallacy to compare them to a regular freshman because Brayden Burries is 20 years old. He was held back. He's strong as hell. And he's not the age of a typical freshman. Koa Peat is a damn football player. His brother, Andrews Peat, literally has been in the league for 13 years as an offensive lineman. Like that family is ginormous. They're athletic, and it's consistent. Each Peat is built like that, right? And he's not a typical freshman build. You very rarely do you get a freshman that is as physically strong and capable as Koa Peat. And Ivan Kharchenkov was a professional basketball player for a team in the Champions League. And holds enough weight where they're sending out, FC Bayern basketball is sending out posts being like, good luck, Ivan, this weekend. Like the 3 guys in particular that played and started on this team as freshmen, they were not typical freshmen. They had experienced big moments. They've won a lot in their careers. So no, I don't think that it necessarily was an experience thing, but that doesn't mean that experience can't help you get better either. And that doesn't mean that experience is not valuable, especially when you're going to be losing a lot of that experience. You're going to be losing all of those freshmen, maybe minus Kharchenkov. You're going to be losing potentially Motiejus Krivas, who's one of your older players, an upperclassman, would be the senior on next year's roster. And Tobe and Jaden are gone. So it's you still need to replace experience. You need experience. I just don't know that the experience was the deciding factor in this game.
Yeah, no, I think that was very well said, Damon. Like I prefaced my statement with, like, I don't necessarily think that experience was a reason as to why you lost this game, but I do think it's an interesting conversation, right? Because it was such a heavily discussed talking point from the big media stations coming into this game was Arizona doesn't shoot threes, and Arizona's led by a bunch of freshmen, and they can't win because they're led by freshmen and they don't shoot threes. And I don't necessarily feel like that's why they lost tonight, But I do think it's interesting that I did feel like Michigan was the team that was more ready for tonight. I felt like they were more poised coming into this game, which I use that word purposefully because for the Michigan fans that are in this chat and that have watched our show all week, that is something that I incorrectly was identifying as an Arizona advantage all week. I was saying, hey, I've watched this Arizona team all year. I think they're poised. I think they're ready for this moment. And Michigan was the team that was ready for the moment. Michigan was the team that came out and was ready for whatever game faced them. Arizona was not that team tonight. It's unfortunate. I think they've been that team all season. They faced, and I mean, we talked about it as well in the preview looking into this. Michigan, this team talks a lot of smack. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because what do? They back it up every time. And what I was going to say before that was this is the best Michigan team ever. Like, they keep saying it, and whatever, they can claim it at this point. They just took down the greatest Arizona team I've ever seen. I'm only 25, right? So, you know what I mean? I wasn't around in 88, not 97, you know what I mean? But the greatest team I've ever seen with my own two eyes, and I think one of the best teams in recent college basketball history, at least on the West Coast. And then this happens. So I really feel like while experience was not a factor, it definitely showed itself in this game. I think that's fair to say. It was not why you lost, or maybe one of the top 3 reasons why you lost, but I think the experience of Michigan definitely showed itself in different areas of this game, and some of the inexperience, at least in like a Final Four setting. I'm not saying that Ivan Kharchenkov hasn't played in a big game. I'm not saying that Koa Peat and Brayden Burries haven't played in big games. You know what I mean? But I do think the experience of Michigan kind of showed itself in many aspects.
Yeah, it did. And you know what? But here's the other side of this coin. Duke beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Who are they led by? Freshmen.
Cam Boozer.
Yep.
Sar.
And you know, it could be done. It could be done. It just wasn't. This was not the game for it. Apparently, this was not the setup. This was not the way that the game state should have been played. I upset of the year, Kevin. I was going into this show hyping myself up in the bathroom right before we started, saying to myself, you know what? I'm not going to crash out on a Michigan fan in this podcast. I'm not going to crash out on an ASU fan in this podcast.
Okay.
And I'm right in saying that because I'm going to crash out on an Arizona fan in this podcast. Tommy, you're an idiot, buddy. Don't come at my guy Max, who was trying to say that this season was a massive success. Sends in a super chat, Shane, if we want to read that here on the post-game show, $4.99. People get too hung up on the ending of the season. This season was a giant dub and ended with Tommy Lloyd re-signing, bear the F down, baby, and go Michigan.
Agreed.
And Tommy tells him to shut up and says you're an idiot, spelling your improperly. You shut up, buddy. That's it. Like, if you have that opinion, we already went over it. But if you think Tommy Lloyd needs to go and loose, as Tommy puts here in the chat, as he misspelled another word, go loose at North Carolina. No, he's going to do it right here. And that is, I think, when we look back on this season, we're going to look back and think, Final Four, fantastic, what a year. But I think that we'll also look back and say, this was the year that got Tommy Lloyd locked into Tucson and Arizona basketball forever. Because I don't think he can really leave after turning down UNC in this cycle. I really don't. I think that this is like something that almost locks him here. And Arizona's going to be good enough under the Tommy Lloyd tenure that I just think that it's going to continue to grow as a program. And there's not going to be really an opportunity for these big blue bloods to come poach a coach from Arizona.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And that was very vintage Damon. By God, is that the Dogs music?
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm going to keep it reasonable with Michigan and ASU fans in here, but an Arizona fan calling for Tommy Lloyd to go to North Carolina is just, it's moronic. Leave it out of this postgame show, man, because this is a Tommy Lloyd podcast through and through. We got nothing. We got Tommy.
100%. Trust in Tommy, even in the dark times. I do want to talk with Damon a little bit more about the fallout potentially from this game. And I believe we're going to get Saul Bookman in here at some point live from Indy. Oh my goodness. He's trying to join in on the back end. As I said those words, chat, I am a prophet, but we're going to go. I'm not a prophet. I predicted an Arizona win. Maybe listen to me, maybe don't. I am going to cue an ad break now. Leave a like, drink your water. Do not go anywhere. Now, drink very responsibly tonight, chat, because Casamigos, that Marg is calling me, and I know it's calling you at home, but drink responsibly with our friends over at Casamigos. And Now that our team has been eliminated from the college basketball tournament, you can enjoy the World Cup with Casamigos ready-to-go margs. Bring your friends, fans, frenemies, maybe a Michigan fan that you want to get too drunk and then get them to admit that Arizona actually should have won that game. You'd have to get them pretty drunk, but drink responsibly. Pair your World Cup watch party food with a delicious new ready-to-go Casamigos margarita made with the best simple ingredients. I'm talking just tequila, lime juice, and natural flavors. They're ready to make any party kind of kick off with these Casamigos margaritas. To the extent Shane will hop in and confirm this, I, after the game, was like, man, I kind of need a glass of a margarita from Casamigos. And Shane was like, sorry, man. I already went in, and not tonight, but I already went in and kind of dug into it, closed it out. It was too good. It didn't last in our office. Casamigos, send more. But make sure to check out Casamigos, the drink of the World Cup. Whether you're at your favorite spot or stocking up at home, make it Casamigos.
Guys, there's no better place to staycation than with our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, where they got 4 Valley locations, V-Kiva, Lone Butte, Santan Mountain, and of course my favorite, Wild Horse Pass, for you to go hang out at and bring the Vegas vibes right into your backyard. They got the Vegas residency at Gila River Resort and Casinos from now until the end of April, Kevin. So you still got about 26 days to get in on this Vegas residency, where they got all types of Vegas atmosphere stuff, elevated food experiences, concerts, comedy shows, you name it, they got it. Showgirls, Kevin, how about that? Some showgirls. Talk about Vegas vibes out there at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. It is just the time to go do a staycation right before it gets super hot here. Of course, we bring the Vegas only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for the full calendar of events.
Whew. All right, we welcome in our guy, if one last time, at least in a post-game setting this season, Saul Bookman, live from Indianapolis. Saul, how are we doing tonight?
Hey, listen, it could have been better. We could be better. It's first of all, so the NCAA is stupid. The rules dictate that we cannot do anything inside the arena post-game. We have to be outside. And of course, tonight, there was a chill that came through the Midwest, and it is blowing like crazy right now. And it kind of felt like the Wildcats suffered from that same chill inside the arena. Boom, there you go.
Saul, you're probably going to have to put your therapist hat on for at least me on this one, because I know that you're going to provide some perspective on this season. And, just from talking with the guys and being around them as much as you have all year long, I feel like you would have that perspective. So can you just kind of talk Arizona fans, some that might be standing on the ledge right now, about how this game ended, and just, tell everybody about, the season that was 2025, 2026.
Well, all right, listen, the way it went out is certainly not the way we wanted it to go out, obviously. I do listen, guys. I had wrote an article a few weeks back about how this team can weather storms like no other team that I've seen in an Arizona uniform, and I equated it to an experience that I had in '97 when we played Carl Hayden, and it was the same thing. Bum rushed from the start. You try to claw back. You cut the lead to like 4 or 5, and then they go on another run again, and they just put it away, and you feel like you're fighting so hard. You're literally in quicksand, because the more you fight, the more you fall behind. And yeah, it's unfortunate. It's absolutely unfortunate, and I think a sense of panic, because they've never faced a team like this that had the size and the ability of Michigan. And had to weather that kind of a storm. And Michigan was unrelenting tonight at the rim from 3. Like, sometimes you just have to tip your cap and realize that team they played their ass off tonight, and they handled you. And sometimes it goes like that. That doesn't mean that the season was for naught. It doesn't mean that there was any distraction with North Carolina or anything crazy like that, because the players they genuinely don't care, because it has no impact on a majority of this roster. It had zero impact on. It didn't have an impact on Koa Peat. He's probably going to go pro. It didn't have an impact on Brayden Burries. He's probably going to go pro. It didn't have an impact on, the 3 seniors. I wouldn't use that as an excuse. I think their preparation was just fine. Coach Murph and that staff do a great job, and they weren't distracted by what's going on with Tommy. So I understand that there's a lot of, listen, man, we were invested. and we were invested to the point where we really felt like this team had a shot at a national championship, and it hurts. No matter how it would have went down, it would have hurt. Now, I always have gone with the school of thought of, if I'm going to lose, especially in the Final Four, I'd rather get blown out. I might change my tune a little bit because that was not fun to experience from the jump. But, hey, it is what it is. And, these guys, they were emotional. Koa was emotional coming off the court. He gave a really long hug to Dwayne Aristote, and I don't know if you guys saw that on TV or not, but he gave a really long hug to Dwayne Aristote, and I don't know what was said. It was the longest hug of anybody on that bench, and I thought that was very, very interesting because I don't know what Dwayne Aristote's going to do next year. Hopefully he stays, but that was a very interesting embrace. And everybody hugged each other. Everybody had tears in their eyes when we got into the locker room. Nobody was, obviously happy, but so is life, and that's how it goes. And you got to adjust to the bad as well as the good, and move on. And that's what this team in this roster is going to do.
Saul, you mentioned like a quicksand feeling, and I feel like you did that on purpose because we do have a clip from when Anthony Dell'Orso describing a sinking quicksand-like feeling to this game.
It's tough. Obviously, they're a great team. The way they controlled the game today was great. Obviously, we had a tough day. Weren't making shots. Weren't getting certain calls. Weren't getting to the foul line as much. All things that hadn't happened all year really. So it's just tough. Credit to them. I think we didn't make shots early. We kind of obviously didn't get off to a great start. They did. Jumped us a little bit, and that made the hole early. And we tried to stay with it. Obviously, we have ultimate confidence and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was a tough day. We couldn't get much flowing.
It was kind of like it did feel like being in quicksand though, right? Like I know that maybe not was explicitly said there, but like that was the feeling that once Arizona set foot on the court, that they were just sinking very slowly until that clock hit 0. Saul, anything on what Delly had to say there and just your overall takes from being around the guys in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, they were all sad, obviously, outside of the bodyguard that Bryce James has, apparently. So, everybody was despondent. They didn't want to, obviously they don't like the idea of having to talk to the media after a loss like this, but, it is the part of the gig. And again, it just never felt like they were in the game from the jump, 10-1. And then they're battling back. And when they cut it to 5, I did think, okay, now they're back. They've settled down. Now they're going to start to play Arizona basketball. But again, you got to credit Michigan. They were unrelenting at the rim, especially with Mara. I mean, geez, that guy was unbelievable tonight. 28 and 8, and it didn't even look like it was hard. Everything was at the rim, and it was relatively easy. And again, Arizona just did not have that kind of length and size, despite the fact that you have a 7'2" Mo Krivas. It was hard for him tonight. And it was hard for everybody. And Krivas should have never come out when Mara was in the game. I'll tell you that much, because every single time he came out, it was too easy. Because as much as we all love Tobe, he's just not a match vertically for somebody of that length and that size. And it was obvious multiple times tonight when that happened. So, it was very scary in there. So, it was just a mismatch. And listen, Michigan, they hit a high rate of threes, and a lot of them were just momentum builders.
Yeah.
And it was really tough. The crowd never felt like they could really get into it, except for that little run to cut it to 5. And it just, the juice was gone from the start. It was a tough night for Wildcat fans. But at the same time, when you come into this game, I've been saying it to everybody in these bars around here for the last couple of days, is like, you don't know how, you can't control anything because you're not a player. So just enjoy the fact that we are here. We're at the Final Four. Like, that's not the end goal. Yes, I know we want to win a championship. That would be fantastic. But that was not the goal at the beginning of the season. It was to get to the Final Four and get that monkey off our back. And once we got here, it was like, okay, cool. Now let's win it. And they could have won it. They have the ability to win it. And as Tommy Lloyd said, you win, you play this team 2 or 3 times like some of the Big Ten teams did. it makes a big impact. And they, Purdue is an example. Like they played Michigan multiple times and they got a feel for them, and then they beat them in the Big Ten championship. You have to play a team like this probably once or twice to get a feel for them to really give it a good shot, because otherwise it's really tough. My pick me up is this. Last year, Dawn Staley lost to UConn by like the same amount of points, if not more. I think they got housed by like 30 plus points. Fast forward a year, they regroup, they retool, they come back, they play the same UConn team, they beat them, and they're in the national championship tomorrow. Arizona, I know it's going to be probably a completely different team, but Tommy, once he gets this blueprint in terms of how they can better themselves, he did it with Houston, and he kind of manufactured a plan to get better and more physical. And I have no doubt that he'll do the same thing after tonight and say, okay, we had a few weaknesses here and there. They never bit us in the ass until it really did matter. So how do we adjust and we move forward and get better the next time? And I have confidence in Tommy and the squad that they'll do that.
I definitely want to touch on all of the spinning it forward stuff that you mentioned there. That was all very well said and wonderful stuff about Tommy Lloyd evolving as a coach. We did have a super chat about that earlier, and we also talked about it. And I want more of your thoughts on that. But more on the physicality front, because what me and Damon were talking about earlier to open the pod was this was the first time that at least I felt like, and you know me pretty well, I try not to use words like this very often, but Arizona got punked in that first half, and it was the first time all season that I felt like they were confused. And we were saying that the reason for that was the physicality and the length of Michigan being so disruptive on both ends, right? Can you kind of speak to seeing it in person, just how disrupted was Arizona's offense and I guess defensive habits by Michigan's physicality and their length?
Yeah, I don't feel like it was anything more than we've seen before. Now the size matters. So, being physical with that size definitely had an impact, because I think Iowa State was almost just as physical, if not more. But Iowa State lacks the verticality and the size that Michigan does. And so when you have that kind of length and that size, and then you add the physicality to it, that's going to be a disruptor. And then in addition to that, I did think that, listen, the officiating was not an excuse as to why this team lost, but I did think that the officiating was a little inconsistent physically on both ends of the court. And honestly, like Michigan probably had a couple things that went against them that I was just like, wow, they really called that? That's crazy. But Jaden Bradley, getting that third foul, that was right in front of me. And I was like, you really blew the whistle on that? Minimal contact at best. And this guy flopped.
Wait, Damon, tell Saul what you told me and Shane after the show, or after the game went final and we were doing this show pregame, you know what I'm trying to say.
That I'm going to be on my deathbed?
Yeah.
Thinking about that Jaden Bradley third foul and what could have been. And again, I'm not going to say Arizona goes and beats Michigan all of a sudden, but it was a 9-point game. It was a 13-4 run that happened directly after that foul that put it from a 9-point game back to being a huge 18-point deficit that felt like it was gonna cook the result, like that the game was over at that point. So I agree with you 100%, Saul. That particularly was an absolutely atrocious call and incredibly impactful. And you would look at the scoreboard and be like, what? An offensive foul against Jaden Bradley with 5 minutes left in the first half? That's what you're going to hang your hat on and say change the game? But I think if you apply the context, it really did switch the momentum of Arizona making a comeback straight into Michigan going right back up with a 20-point lead.
Especially with the context of all the hooking and grabbing and pulling and pushing that I saw out there on that court. It just, the numbers didn't add up. So to your point, yeah, I totally agree. You just cost, you basically cut the head of the snake of Arizona without really even giving them an opportunity to, slither out of trouble. And that's really just, that's problematic. And it's unfortunate because that's his last game as an Arizona Wildcat. And, Jaden Bradley certainly didn't want to go out like that. And that's why, you could see the panic in his face. Like, dude, you're taking this game away. You're taking it out of my hands. And you're not letting me have an impact in this game because you think you're seeing something that isn't happening. And so that is the unfortunate part. But, I digress. This team, I don't know if that would have made a difference. Not the way this game was going. It just seemed like it was far beyond their control tonight. And, again, you just got to tip your cap to Michigan and you move on and you reflect on the good stuff that this team went through. and the happiness they gave all of us. What a ride. And that's certainly, it's hard right now, and I might go have a beverage and, listen, I knew it felt like it was over at halftime.
It did.
Like it did. And the optimist in me really hopes for the best.
I was trying, Saul. I was trying to hold the line as hard as I could.
I was trying to, but you know what? Listen, man, the way it was going, I was just like, I just don't see it. I just don't see how, unless somebody just goes crazy from three.
Like, where are the avenues to a victory, right?
Yeah, it was slim and far between. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I need to start looking at airplane reservations and modifying my travel. So, it's just it's a sad ending to what was a fantastic season.
I do want to say this much though, Saul. We're talking about all this stuff that went against Arizona. There was a huge aspect of this game that went directly in Arizona's favor. Yaxel Lendeborg comes out, plays 5-8 minutes in the entire first half. I want your opinion on why was Arizona unable to capitalize in the 18-15 minutes that Yaxel Lendeborg did not play in the first half and the limited minutes he played in the second half. Obviously, I hope he's okay with the ankle injury, one of the best players in the country. You don't want to see that. However, him not playing minutes due to fouls and that bum ankle, like that played directly into Arizona's game plan, and I felt like they never capitalized. What do you think led to that?
Honestly, I think it's because of their little water bug point guard. I like he set the table. He set the tone for that team. He was so crafty around the rim or around the paint to try and get his guys touches, set them up for success. And Michigan overall, like they had guys that were shooting threes that were connecting, habitually. It felt like that weren't as consistent as that all season long. Like they're a good shooting team. Don't get me wrong, but not to that level. And it just felt like every single time Arizona made a run, they would get a couple twos and then they'd hit a three. It was like a dagger, and put the game away. And so that's why I think they couldn't really capitalize off of Lendeborg, because the other guys were playing just as good and they were getting the spacing. And then, Arizona's really focused on, on Mara in the paint, and they got to help. And they have not had to do that all season long. They've never had to worry about doubling the post at any point in time all season long. They had to think about it tonight. And even if Tommy wasn't going to tell them to double the post, man, if my guy's cooking down low and I'm guarding the guy on the wing and I see him catch the ball, like it's a natural inclination to be like, dude, we got to stop this dude and go down to try and do it. And then they kick it out, three, boom, cash. And it's tough. Plus, I will give Michigan credit. Their weak side action was really, really good tonight. Mm-hmm. They got a lot of weak side action. So every time they reversed the ball, somebody inevitably was open. And it just, they cooked Arizona. Like they just did. And it's not a knock in terms of like, scheme or whatever. Sometimes you just have a really good night. And I feel like Dusty May and Michigan got the best of Arizona and Tommy Lloyd tonight. But again, I have the utmost confidence that Tommy and company will turn it around and learn from this. And, hopefully we're back here again next year and with an opportunity to win it.
I'm not going to say that Tommy Lloyd, didn't get out coached, because I think when the score and the result looks like what it does, you have to put your hand up and say, Dusty May wins that battle on this one. But I've seen a lot of people online, Saul, the discourse has kind of turned into like Tommy was like outclassed. And it's like, I didn't really see that when I watched the game. I saw a lot of makeable shots missed early on that led to Michigan getting a sustained lead and being able to play off that lead and being able to build their confidence off that lead all game long, where now when you're just raining threes and you're Trey McKinney, who comes off the bench and hits 4 of 6 threes, it's like, what's the pressure on you? You're up 18 points right now. Like there's no pressure if you miss this shot. So I don't know if you agree or disagree with that, but I'll digress to you and throw the ball in your direction as the player here on this former player on this podcast.
No, like, dude, I totally agree. I think sometimes, like, what are you going to scheme up? You can't scheme up size. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to scheme up how to stop Mara at the rim? Like, how? Like, the guy was catching lobs down near at the top of the backboard. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. I don't think he got outclassed at all. And I don't think he got outcoached. I just think that Michigan just played better, straight up. played more physical. And to your point, Damon, yes, a lot of bunnies, a lot of easy shots they were missing. And the same thing happened in the game before with Illinois and UConn. Illinois, a ton of wide open shots, couldn't connect, missing layups, in and out layups. Like, things were just not going their way tonight, and it was the same thing for Arizona. Now, UConn's physicality had a lot to do with Illinois. Same thing with Michigan. When you play against a team that is physical and has that size, just enough to like throw you off your game just a little bit, your rhythm is jacked. And it takes a little bit to find your rhythm again. And Arizona was just never able to find that rhythm. Tommy actually talked about it in the postgame presser. He said when they played Houston last year, Houston had their number. They played them twice, and each game they got a little bit progressively better and better, and they felt like they were right there. And this year they beat Houston twice. And it's because sometimes you have to play a style and a team a couple times to get a feel for it. And unfortunately, in this instance, Arizona, lacking the type of size, or at least the teams that they'd played lacked that size, just wasn't prepared for what they were going to see. And it came at the wrong time of the season. But I don't think that Arizona got out-coached or outclassed by any means.
I mean, how is he supposed to adjust his way out of his players not executing?
How are you supposed to adjust your way out of Jaden Bradley having 3 fouls in the first half, or Brayden Burries going 0 for 7 or whatever he went to start the game? Like, I think that's the kind of stuff where you have to kind of tip your cap to Michigan and say that they just outplayed you in that circumstance, in my opinion.
How are you supposed to, coach your team out of, feeling like they're in panic mode when Tobe Awaka shoots a 3 in the first, 4 minutes of the game because they're on their heels? Like, that's not a coaching point. And as soon as Tobe shot it, Tommy was like, what? WTF? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's not us. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. It's one thing if you do it against BYU and you're up by 15 and you want to chuck one, fine, cool. But in the Final Four, and you can feel like, hey, we're on the ropes right now. We've never been hit like this before. That's not the time. And I'm not trying to besmirch Tobe Awaka, but funny stuff was happening tonight. Guys were playing a little out of character because they have never been hit like this before. And it's just like a boxer, like sometimes you got this, Mike Tyson, big bad dude. As soon as he got rocked in his jaw the first time, it was like, oh, it's a little different now, isn't it? Yeah, not good.
You missed a super chat we had earlier that said, guys, it's going to be okay. Brady retired. Tyson got knocked out. We'll be back. And I loved it. It was great energy. But no, like, one thing that you mentioned there, Saul, that I did like is the fact that, like, the Arizona was forced in some ways to do things that they were not yet challenged to do this season. But in other ways, it was self-inflicted, like with Tobe Awaka. And you're not besmirching Tobe Awaka's name to say that that was an unacceptable decision to make in the moment, because he knows so. Why? How do I know that he knows so? You, me, and Corey sat down with Jaden Bradley like a month ago, and you guys asked him, Jaden, what is Coach Lloyd telling you before this Big 12 tournament, NCAA tournament run? And what did JB tell us? Smooth told us, man, he's telling us to treat it like any other game and to not go out there and do anything we've not done before. Michigan was so good, it got a machine like Arizona to get a glitch. And they were like, what do we do when we're told to not do anything you've not done, but everything that we have done is not working? So I guess I'm just going to shoot a 3 if I'm Tobe Awaka, and now I'm on the bench. So I do think, right, unacceptable decision from Tobe Awaka, but it's not necessarily his fault as an individual, right? Like, Michigan was forcing them to be the most uncomfortable they felt probably since the first day of summer camp, when you don't know these dudes and you're going up against Koa Peat for the first time. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah, incredibly well executed by Michigan to get Arizona off of its spot. So I do want to spin this slightly forward a little bit, because you are the resident.
You got about 2 minutes before, I fall to the bottom of the Atlantic like Jack in freaking the Titanic, because it is like 20 degrees out here now.
Well, I feel like you might give 2 minutes on this one answer, Saul, because Jaden Bradley just played his last game in an Arizona uniform. You are the number one Jaden Bradley guy. You discovered him all those years ago. Genuinely, though, like, for the seniors that are leaving, JB, Tobe, ADO, some of these guys that might not be back next year, just how do you verbalize in this moment how you're feeling towards those guys and their contributions to this program? Because as we said, this loss sucks, but this has been a hell of a run, and it has been sparked by some great seniors.
You know, the unfortunate part about like being in a role that I'm in the media is that like when I'm in that locker room, like you definitely have to take that fan cap off and you just gotta ask your questions and get in, get out. But I so badly wanted to go back into that locker room and like shake everybody's hand and just say, I don't think you guys understand how much this meant to the city of Tucson and the state of Arizona and all Arizona Wildcats fans. Like we all believe, and you know, I know, you know, Arizona's in Tucson and everything like that, but there are Wildcats all over the country, all over the world that live and breathe, you know, Arizona basketball. There's a guy that I met, Harry, yesterday, and he was talking about how he's a pilot and he was overseas, and he would wake up and he would scroll on Twitter to get the updates because the hotel that he was in didn't have Wi-Fi, so he couldn't get the game on, and he's just living vicariously through Twitter updates to see if the Wildcats won. That's how much he cares about the Arizona Wildcats. You have people all over the country that flew in to watch this game because they care that much, and they don't know when we're coming back. Hell, it was 25 years since we've been back to this one, and I'm sure everybody thought we'd be back by now. So, like, I think that I hope that they leave, and I know every single alum that we saw tonight, even they all come back because they understand how much this program means to us. And I hope these guys, you know, when they get to reflect and they get 10, 15, 20 years down the road, they're like, wow, we did that. We got Arizona back on the map in terms of national relevance and, you know, back to a blue blood level. And they should be very, very proud. And, you know, and even guys like Koa Peat and Brayden Burries, who, you know, are still wet behind the ears. They're still learning life. And they're just kids that are just having fun. Like the impact that they had on this school is just phenomenal. And then to the seniors, especially Jaden and Tobe and Deli, which obviously the only three seniors, but like to see the ups and the downs. You know, last year wasn't phenomenal, but it was great to see how they recovered from a 4-5 start to get all the way back to the Big 12 championship, to the Sweet 16, and then want to, you know, take it one level up from there. And we didn't know what to expect this season. We thought that they would be a legit team, a top 10 team, even though they were ranked outside the top 10 to start the season. And the way they started the year to beat the defending national champs just kind of jump started everybody. And we're like, well, man, you know, like, where is this going to go? And then they just kept going. And the enjoyment we've all had with the 23-0 start, the conference championship, regular season, the tournament, like, you can't replicate that, man. Like, you got to enjoy it while it's here, and you got to soak it in. So that's why when you're walking around and seeing all these bars, they're packed full of Wildcats. Like, Wildcat Nation came out in full force. And it's unfortunate they didn't have a lot to cheer about tonight, but that doesn't take away from what this season really meant. And I hope these guys understand that. I hope you guys, understand that, and the fans and the people that are watching. I hope you understand that and appreciate it. I know you're down right now, and maybe you want to, you know, just throw, you know, you want to punch a baby or something, but like,
whoa,
A, don't. That's a phrase, man. A, don't, and B, it's going to be all right. You know, in the words of Todd Walsh, like, you know, I hope you just enjoyed the ride because it was a hell of a season. It was a hell of a season.
I'm fixing to punch a baby.
We can't.
I'm fixing to punch a baby, Saul. I got to be honest. I mean, it's taken everything inside of me right now to you know, be sitting here and be, you know, trying to reflect properly on it. But you're right. Like that is what we will all be feeling in a couple weeks time, in a couple months time. I think that it's just the raw emotion of a night like tonight and the aspirations that you had of winning a national championship that, you know, end in this fashion.
If it makes you feel any better, Damon, not that I knew we were cooked, because I didn't, but like I did think it was a bad sign that I went to the Wildcat bar before the game started, and the piano guy, the first song off the rip is Mr. Brightside, which is a very Michigan song. They sing that in their stadium. They sing it to start the fourth quarter in their football games. So it's like a Michigan song. And I'm like, bro, what? And listen, half the U of A fan base doesn't even know that. Like, they don't pay attention to Michigan. So they were clapping along and singing.
But we do.
Like, I do. And I was like,
I saw your tweet, Saul. I was just as mad.
I was upset.
We waited 25 years for this moment, and you gonna play their halftime song at our no, bro.
Lame ass song for that to be your song.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, anyway, yeah. Well, we don't have a song, so it is what it is. We just bite other people's style, like swag surf.
True. That is true. Saul, I know you're cold. Do you have any more thoughts on this game or any closing remarks that you'd like to make? It has been, I will say this on behalf of Damon and myself, it has been an incredible year of coverage from you on the road, out of pocket, doing it because you love your Arizona Wildcats and because you want to help these two lowly podcasters with their post-game coverage. So we, from the bottom of our heart, appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to my Final Four hat, even though the results sucked.
Yeah, listen, man. I'm sorry, man. It's unfortunate, but no, this has been fun. Like, I definitely didn't think I was going to be at the Final Four this year. You always hope, but hell, we've been hoping for 24 years, and then this happened. So it's been fantastic. And I always say the moment got to me a little bit because my seat was at like basically half court. I was 2 rows from the court.
You were on TV again. You and Chris Brown.
Oh, was I? Oh, cool.
Yeah, you were behind. You were above Bill Raftery's head, and Chris was in between Ian Eagle and I forget who was on the third call today.
Grant Hill.
Yeah.
Grant
Hill.
Yeah. So that was cool. And I was just like, like I said, 1 year or 1 week after the 2001 national championship loss, I joined the military, and to think about all the stuff that I personally have gone through from 2001 to now, to be in a position to where I get to enjoy the Final Four and cover the team that I grew up loving. It was just tremendously special. I've said this a million times, like, brothers, if we ever get back here again, like, I swear I will sell the farm to get you guys here, because I want you guys to be able to, because you guys deserve, like, listen, the things that you guys have done this last year, there were so many comments. I've said this before, I'll say it again. There were so many comments about how you guys have run this show and the tremendous job that you guys have done. You got a lot of fans out here that just want to, support you guys. And you guys do phenomenal work. So I appreciate you guys very much. And I got some goodies for you when I come home. I thought I was going to have time to grab some more tomorrow, but I guess I'm going to come up short in that endeavor.
Damn, see what y'all did? Damn.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. And I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you too, Saul. We love you, buddy. And we thank you for your coverage that has been excellent, elite, I may argue, all season long of this team. And let's get you out of the cold. Let's get you in a warmer jacket, maybe inside and with a heater running. And
some liquor.
Yeah.
I think I can see my breath. All right. Appreciate it, guys. Love you guys.
Peace out, my man.
Peace out.
Saul Bookman. Follow him at Saul_Bookman, where he has been absolutely just killing it all season long. And his coverage, boots on the ground of the Wildcats, has been top notch, Kevin. Obviously, lots of emotions flying, lots of feelings, sadness, happiness, respect for the players and what they have accomplished this season. But it hurts tonight. It really, really hurts tonight. And yeah, I mean, I made my show tweet, Kevin, like, how are we gonna, let's talk about the off season. Let's talk about your ideal starting 5 for next year. But none of that can actually be done tonight. This is a reflection. This is a referendum. Is that right? Is that the proper terminology?
We'll get to that in a second. It's a celebration of our guy, Terrence Tidbits, who has gifted 5.
Oh, I hope it didn't go to a Michigan fan.
Oh, if it did.
If it went to Michigan fans, that would just be so devastating.
I got one.
Hell yeah.
Bang.
Nice.
Bang. Eagles and Gouda sports games. We need you to prove your Arizona Wildcats. Show your Arizona card right now. And whoever got it, we appreciate you, Terrence, for being so generous and showing some generosity in a moment of sadness as well.
Get?
Huh?
What do they get?
I mean, they get a ton of stuff, Shane. You can now drop your closer emotes in the man.
I mean,
You can still drop the emojis, though. You get exclusive emojis. You also get member exclusive content as well. Damon was saying we're not going to do any off-season talk on this post-game show, which is fair. We'd be here all night. I would be doing a film breakdown live on the show that Shane would say would get us DMCA'd. But we're doing Jackson Shouset highlights in the last segment. No, I'm kidding. I will say, though, I do plan on doing, I thought I'd have more time to procrastinate this because I thought we'd be playing till Monday. But either way, I do plan on doing transfer target breakdowns on our channel. It'll be kind of like a little bit of a mishmash of members only and also publicly available stuff that maybe the members will get a little bit of extra on the back end of the video. You'll see. You'll all see.
Terrence
it'll be fun stuff.
5 more memberships.
Chill. Don't chill. Go crazy. But yeah, this is awesome, man.
That's my man.
I will say, Damon, FSU ping pong. No way. We got big admins in our show.
Damn.
I do want to say one thing, Damon. Saul said very nice things about us, but I want to say very nice things about our chat. We took over this show, like, I don't know, almost 2 years ago, but
a year and
a half ago ish. You know, my math is bad. I'm infamously bad at math. We took over this show not that long ago, but a little bit ago. And we have worked very hard to try to build a welcoming community. And I think to a man in this and a woman in this office, right? People come to me and Damon all the time and say, man, you guys have an awesome chat room. You guys have a chat room of positive, engaged, passionate fan bases. And that goes for all of our chat rooms here at PHNX, but they especially say it about our Wildcats chat. Whether it's Ayrton guest producing, Noah guest producing, Shane guest producing, Leah popping in the chat, or Espo popping in the chat, they always come to us next day and say, man, your guys' chat rocks. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys that has tuned in all season long. It has been incredible. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe Damon has more to say, but I just thank every single person that has joined our community and wanted to talk Wildcats with us, because that's all we give a damn about is talking Wildcat sports, man.
Absolutely. And you know what? We've talked about it and we've digressed it before, but it was a tough sell with the change of this podcast. And I think that the public facing look of it, if anyone was aware of how it kind of went down, I completely understand people that were like, you know what, I'm done. But Kevin and I we just love our cats. We want to talk about them. And we want to do it with you guys. And we hope that you guys, want to hang out and help elevate this experience as well. We love this community. We've grown it a lot over the course of this particular season, dating back to football season.
Yes.
All the way through basketball season. We've had people in the chat here who are locked in here at every show, engaging in the chat. And it's definitely just made this thing in our eyes, and, still in a very, very, very small fish in a very large pond, but in our eyes, it's taken this thing to the moon, and we appreciate you guys more than you know. So, Terrence Tidbits, he can't stop. He can't stop.
How many super chats do we have right now?
$9.99. You boys rock. Love the podcast. PHNX is such a great community. All love peeps. # bear down.
Terrence, keep some of your money for your retail therapy with our shirts and our branded bills. But either way, let's get to some super chats. Terrence kicked it off, obviously, with a very generous 10 gifted subs and a $10 super chat. But we got 10 more super chats to go. Max, people got too hung up on the ending of a season. The season was a giant dub and ended with Tommy Lloyd re-signing. Bear the F down, baby. And whoa. I don't want to say that. It feels too soon to say that, Max. Too soon. But
Max is rooting for Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get there yet.
Max.
I can't get there yet. I can't even get there yet.
No, I went into this podcast thinking like, oh, I hope UConn takes it to him next game. I'm actually, I don't really care anymore.
I'm not there either. I like you said, I'm kind of just indifferent now. Like, if Michigan goes and wins it, great, we lost to the champ, whatever. If UConn goes and wins it, great, Danny Hurley, legend, whatever. Speaking of legends, Trevor Big A. Mo kept us in it. Others needed to wake up. I was saying to Damon during the watch along, man, like, there were parts of this game where Tobe Awaka looked like he was trying to tap into that Oregon Tobe Awaka. Michigan was just too damn big, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Lost Highway, $9.99. Good run, guys. Just really disappointing. No doubt about it. And not much else needs to be said, right? That could have been the whole post-game show.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome on in. Good run, guys. Just really disappointing. Hit the music, Shane. But yeah, I mean, that's That about sums it up properly. Ike Salvador, who is now a member here in the chat, and also he's number 1 when it comes to the chats today in the live chat. So very much deserved from our guy Ike Salvador. $10. Yeah, I think this game was Tommy's to wear, but I really like the recruit, and I feel like he's one stubborn tendency away from being top 3 coaches in the country. I think he's, I mean, dare I say, right there already. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be an opinion that it's going to get people upset with me because of, obviously, we got the belt tonight. But
yeah, badly.
Like, if I'm ranking coaches, I think I'm going Danny Hurley 1. And then I think it's like got to be a combination of Shire, May, Lloyd for the 2-3 spots there, and at least rounding out to 4 if I'm just doing it off the dome.
Yeah, I think I'd probably, without looking, like you said, without off the dome, I think I'd go probably I'm a little more bold. I don't know what it is. Maybe I am biased, but as Shane might not know, I like Danny Hurley for whatever reason. Either way, give me Shire, Hurley, Lloyd right now.
You know what? I'm actually quite a fan of chocolate milk. I think it's a great thing.
I was saying you might be surprised because I hate Bobby.
I understand why, but they're two different people.
No, they are.
They just have their antics are similar.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, Danny's actually a little bit more subdued. He's more psycho, but he's a little more subdued.
He headbutted a ref.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's more like crazy, scary psycho, but it's in like a subdued, scary psycho way. Where if like,
just say, you know what, I was wrong about this whole thing I'm trying to do right now.
Like,
because you are wrong.
It's psychopath stuff where it's like, oh, if I say something threatening to you calmly, it's way more scary than if I shouted it at you. Ike Salvador, Burries returns to play with us or with AAU buddy Bryce next year. Man, I need whatever you're smoking, man. I need whatever you're smoking because I would love to feel that vibe.
I saw a Michigan fan pop in here as well, Kevin, and be like, you guys got a really good young team. If they come back next year, you guys are going to be solid. And I was just like sitting there and I was like, man.
I will say, like, I saw a tweet about that, right? Like, where there was a guy, I think it was Coach Skibbs on Twitter that said this, but they were saying, like, man, they literally hit a back in my day. They were saying back in my day, we would have 3 to 4 years of these guys, and that stinks. But it's just a crazy time in the sport.
It's a big change for sure. Yeah. Bridge Tech Communications, $9.99. Our 3 bigs should have played together, period. What do you think about that? A little Tobey Awaka, Mo Krivas, and Koa Peat action on the court to kind of counteract what Michigan was throwing at us.
I'd have to go back and like rewatch certain segments of the game to see like, or I guess I could check lineup percentages online if I could find it or whatever of how much they were out there together. But it just felt like Michigan, like from a front court perspective, had the athleticism mixed with the size to just simply disrupt everything Arizona was doing. I don't know if there was a mix of bigs Arizona could have thrown out there that are on the roster that would have like changed the result of tonight, the way that they played tonight, especially with the performance you got from the backcourt. Who's going to get you the ball? Your guards. If your guards are stinking it up, it's not helping you out at all.
No assists.
Yeah.
AB's in foul trouble. Brayden can't make a shot. Yeah. Like I think that's why you lose the game. And that's all guard related.
Where's Pete being mocked right now?
20s.
Yeah.
Should he come back?
That's been the talk as of recently is like we talked to Tyler Rucker, who's a big time NBA draft analyst during the week, and we asked him, and he was like, yeah, I think he probably should come back. We talked to Derek Williams, who put up better statistics than Koa Peat did as a freshman, came back for his sophomore year, was arguably the best player in college basketball as a sophomore, and then was the number 2 overall pick. And D. Will told us that he was projected in like the 30 range when he was a freshman, came back and went number 2. This is a weaker draft class. I mean, I think there's a lot. Next year's is a weaker draft class than this year's. I think there's a lot in the way of like Koa probably should come back, but he's not going to because he's a guaranteed first-round pick, and you just don't really see that happen often.
I agree, and I think like while it would do him incredible wonders, as we said on a live show recently, like this is
next year.
This is a guy who already missed time this year with an injury, and I don't want to speculate as to anything that could be long-term with him, but like how old is he? 19? Every game after the game, his knees and his calves are iced and they're packed. And I'm like, that can't be ideal for a 19-year-old kid to be going through that kind of stuff, 3/4 of the way through a season. So I do think he is a guy that is like I say all the time, he's kind of like a running back. And in my mind, if I'm Koa Peat, I want to get to the league ASAP. I want to cash my checks. I want to get as good as I can.
As many contracts as possible.
And I want to see where this game can take me. I do not want to come back next year, have another quad injury, and then go in the 20s of next year's draft or the 15s of next year's draft, knowing I could have been in a similar spot this year. And I do think he's a guy that when he gets in a room with a GM, I do think he's a guy that GMs will fall in love with because he's a winner. He's won at every level. He has a pro athlete background and all that stuff. So
yeah, and he's a great guy, great locker room guy. Like I 100%. Team's gonna fall in love with Koa Peat, and he's gonna be a first round pick, and he's gonna go in kind of that middle first round range. So he's not coming back, but man, we might need to get Derek Williams' phone number over to Koa Peat just to kind of sell him on the vision.
I mean, little slight flex.
We got our guy Mike in here, $4.99. Watch the post-game presser before calling for Tommy's dismissal. Watch it. He showed class. Thank Tucson and affirmed that they'll be back. Always. I think that's a great point. Is Mike is that we will be back under Tommy Lloyd. That's the one thing that we can actually hold our hat on and be happy about on this podcast. Is like, imagine if we were sitting up here being like, is Tommy about to leave for UNC? What a disaster that would be. Waiting that news on a Sunday, sitting there refreshing Twitter constantly and being like,
be walking to Chapel Hill.
Is Kevin gonna walk to Chapel Hill and have to quit as my co-host? And who's gonna be my next co-host because Kevin can't be in the office?
I would do it from the road, and you know that.
Yeah, for sure. We'd buy you a streaming backpack.
You wouldn't go with him?
No, I said I would walk myself.
I know. Well, when Totri pledged that he would do that, I said I'd stand arms in arms and I'd go with you, brother.
You did like an RV thing before I met you, so I'm not putting it past you to be down for that.
Don't belittle
that was
me
never
like
part of the plan.
No, I
but
wasn't saying that.
If that was
okay.
If I was approached with that, I'd hate to leave my guy hanging. So
I think it'd be great content for the show for you to do the live show, and then I would call in like.
No, we would do the show on the road.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, it would be
sick.
Get
us an RV,
dude. Traveling podcast, like set up a
Next year we go.
I might be done. This might be my last show.
We lost Shane, folks.
But we gained a Frank De Leon super chat. Fan character.
No, it's a super sticker. Let me do
super
this.
Sticker.
Super sticker, $4.99. It's a fan character laughing out loud with tears in their eyes.
Oh, so that's like a description of a sticker.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we thank you,
Frank.
We thank you for your generosity, regardless of a chat or the sticker or what my lack of technological savvy is.
Speaking of the bus, I used to get hammered on the bus and then pull up PHNX shows and send $10 super stickers of pair characters dancing in the Coyotes chat. It was the best.
That is great.
Simon says BTFD. Shout out to Miles Simon, who I did see walking around like FanFest out there in Indy, taking pictures with a bunch of fans. Very cool that he was open to doing that. Hell of a year. Thanks for it all, Cats and AZWP fam.
Wildcats podcast.
Indeed, man.
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I think this is a perfect place to round it out, Kevin, is that Tommy Lloyd aspect of things. You have the guy that I think you feel comfortable leading this program for not only just the foreseeable future, but I think beyond that as well. He's so young that you expect Tommy to be the coach at Arizona for a very, very long period of time. And if a job like UNC is not enticing enough to get Tommy to leave, then what job is? That's the pinnacle, that's the peak of college basketball. So I think that this year, if we're hanging our hat on anything, if we're bringing positivity to round this thing out and end the season on a good note, it's that we have the guy, a top 5 coach in college basketball, locked in for the long term, who wants to be here, who, already kind of used his leverage play to get a new contract. And now he's the king of Tucson, right? And yeah, it feels bad right in this exact moment. But Arizona is going to be back in the Final Four under Tommy Lloyd. And once you get there, anything can happen. You're playing the elites of the elites in the Final Four once you make it to that point. But I expect a lot more appearances in the Final Four for Tommy Lloyd, for this program, for Arizona basketball. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of where my mind goes to wrapping this thing up.
Yeah, I want to continue on that for a second, because shout out to that super chat that we just had that was saying, hey man, if you watch that presser and think that we need to let go of Tommy Lloyd, you're a fool. And I'll reference my PSA that I put out halfway through the pod, encouraging you to check in on your friends and neighbors who are overly criticizing Tommy Lloyd over a game against maybe the best team in recent college basketball. And I think that, you know what I mean? I'll say it like this. Tommy Lloyd is truly the coach that you should want running your program. I know that there maybe are other sexier picks. There are other coaches that you might feel are better in certain aspects of the game, but there's no one that represents, and this goes for his players as well, there's no one that represents Arizona athletics with more class, more respect, and I think that does go for something. You make a Final Four, and no one has a bad word to say about this Arizona Wildcats team. as in terms of who they are as people. No one has a bad word to say about, and no one sane has a bad word to say about Tommy Lloyd as a dude. I think that is the reason that I keep coming back to, like, man, Tommy Lloyd is the dude to run this program. The same way Lute Olson demanded respect for the way that he carried himself, Tommy Lloyd demands respect from his peers for the way that he carries himself with such respect. We saw last night in the Women's Final Four, one of the greatest coaches of all time, Gino Auriemma, right, who has been known as a bit of an irritant throughout his entire career, goes out like that in the Final Four, and everybody is not talking about his team, not talking about the season that AZ Fudd had, not talking about the season that Sarah Strong had. They're talking about Gino's antics. And I think that Tommy Lloyd always represents his program with class, and I do think that we will be back under Tommy Lloyd. I had a little bit of an Elliot Cadeau moment there, but we'll be back under Tommy Lloyd, and I do think that he is the coach for the job. There's no doubt in my mind in terms of that.
I mean, he's, as you said, Kevin, like, he's just one of the most likable guys
100%.
And easy to root for people. And I think that the Lute comparison is perfect. Like, it's a guy that, you know, is respected because of how he carries himself, and everyone respects Tommy Lloyd. Even, you know, go look at my tweet that I had about Kenny and Tommy yesterday. So many ASU fans being like, Tommy makes it hard to truly hate Arizona basketball as much as I have in the past. And I think that concurs with a lot of people. North Carolina fans, the way that Tommy denied the job, right? They're like, man, he's a likable dude. He denied that with class. They're not like rooting against Tommy Lloyd necessarily. He was like, let me just be clear. North Carolina is an unbelievable program. Anyone that gets offered that job, it's a respect that you couldn't imagine. Like, this guy he finds a way for everyone to be like, yes, we respect how he carries himself. And that's the type of person that you want leading your program. And yeah, I mean, that's what we got. We got nothing. We got Tommy, Kevin.
I was going to say, like, and to back up what you were saying, and we can wrap it up after this, like, additionally, that is a guy that players want to play for, right? A player's first coach that is going to hold you accountable, push you, but also not kind of make it all about him and put you on the spot, right? Caleb Holt, right? Koa Peat, Brayden Burries, these are elite talents. Cameron Holmes as well, that are choosing Tommy Lloyd, and they're choosing Arizona as well. But as Caleb Holt said, they're choosing Arizona because that's where Tommy Lloyd coaches, right? And to our final super chat of the night, I think, unless AZ Cash G has a buzzer beater in him, Dog Squad AZ with a $9.99 super chat. Arizona fans are spoiled. We forget that we are a dynasty. There are a lot of teams who cannot dream about the success that Arizona has. Lute is smiling down on Tommy. Thanks for your work all season, gentlemen. Thank you for your super chat and your continued support of this podcast as well. But yeah, I think that, like, this is a team, a program led by Tommy Lloyd that players want to play for, transfers want to be a part of, and will continue to win. No one's giving you more wins in the first 5 seasons of a career than Tommy Lloyd. No one's beaten more ranked teams in the first 5 seasons of a career than Tommy Lloyd. This man is setting himself up for a wonderful career, and I'm happy that he will be staying at Arizona at least through 2031.
No doubt about it. It's been a banger of a season. It ends in a horrible, awful, no good, very bad manner. But it was a season that was a dream. As Saul said, like, we thought this team was legit, but we didn't know this team was this type of good. We didn't know this team was going to be number 1 in the country for half this season. We didn't know this team was going to be considered one of the 2 or 3 title contenders in the sport. You know, when you're truly breaking it down. And you know, it just didn't end the way that we wanted to. Gonna get another stab at it next season. Of course, Kevin and I are going to keep it locked and loaded with off-season coverage, portal coverage, which will be happening right away. Won't stop. There's not going to be a break. We're going straight into the portal coverage season of side of things, where we'll very fast figure out what this roster is going to look like next season, what the rotation might look like next season. You're going to find all that right here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, brother, and on the AZ Wildcats podcast. And
don't forget, now that our season's over, we actually owe all you guys and girls in the chat a 24-hour stream, a workout with Becky Burke. What else do we owe y'all? We owe y'all a ton.
A 999, I think, at a baseball game.
999 challenge. I mean,
it's a disaster.
We are gluttons for punishment.
You're going to go down to Tucson? Because we said we'd go to an Arizona baseball game.
Hell yeah. All Shane is in. Producer Shane is in. I think we found our videographer for the day that day. But yeah, either way, we have a ton of stuff packed for the summer. The train does not stop here. As Damon said, off-season preview content, next season content, a ton of challenges in the offseason as well.
Football content.
Welcome back to the show, Justin Spears. Talking football. You know what I mean?
I know Kevin's fired up about football.
I am indeed. Like I said, transfer content coming soon.
Especially on the night of losing in the Final Four. Nothing will fire Kevin up a little bit more than maybe changing this podcast into an Arizona football podcast.
You know what? I'm going to talk about Arizona football, and that is what I like to do as well, because you know what? Red line.
Absolutely.
I'm already back in red line mode, baby. I'm already back in red line mode.
We're this deep into the podcast. I'm just going to come out and say it. I think Brent Brennan stabbing the basketball might have lost us this.
I told you the other day. No, Shane, you know what's crazy is I told this guy this the other day. I go, hey, Damon, I actually love Brent Brennan and everything he's done this year, and I'm not trying to, poo-poo him. He has killed it at every stage this year for the most part. Keep footballs on the turnover sword. Who is turning it over for you to... No one's playing. It's only Arizona basketballs that you... Bad omen. Bad omen. Me and Damon talked about it the other day. No hate towards Brent Brennan, but that is objectively. You don't mess with that. You don't do... Keep footballs on the sword. No softballs. I don't want to see a volleyball. I don't want to see a basketball on the turnover sword. I want to see opponents' footballs on the sword, and that's it. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I just was scrolling social media, and I saw him stab the basketball and scream bear down, and I was like... It was like at halftime, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that was the move.
And we'll let you guys know on when the 999 challenge is as soon as we plan it. I think probably we'll have a meeting sometime this week to do off-season planning and stuff, so we'll have a fleshed out plan for you guys at some point soon. And we'll let you know.
And you know what, Maze Devil? Maybe we will extend Brent Brennan because he had a really good season last year, and I don't appreciate that tone, and I don't understand this idea that ASU fans have that they had a better season than we did last year. Insane. But good luck tomorrow to Maze Devil, to all the other Michigan fans, or on Monday, I should say, that will be playing in the national championship game. Appreciate the support on this podcast, even if you were being nasty in the chat. It's been great. It's been a banger season. You can, of course, follow my guy Kevin at Kevo Posts. You can follow me at Damon Dog. That's CAWG, where I'm sure I have an unbelievable amount of Michigan fans coming at me for my Dusty May tweets earlier in the day. And of course, follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social media except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. Love you guys for watching. Appreciate everybody. And we'll see you in the off-season coverage of Arizona basketball, Arizona football, starting some spring football up, and cannot wait for it. So until then, peace out, bear down.
And go Cats. I said in the beginning of the year, they take us on a ride, and what a ride it was.
We all silly like the mayor.